happening.
Good morning. Police are saying this morning they could reopen the investigation into claims that News of the World reporters hacked into the mobile phones of leading politicians. Last night, a senior Metropolitan Police officer said that detectives will look at new information and will consider taking further action. It all follows claims by a former News of the World reporter last week that David Cameron's Director of Communications, Andy Coulson, endorsed the practice when he was editor of the paper. Downing Street says Mr. Coulson totally and utterly rejects any suggestion that he was involved. But as MPs return to Westminster today, there are expected to be calls for answers from the Home Secretary Theresa May. There's even talk that some will try to force her to make an emergency statement to the House of Commons. But she's already said there are no grounds for a new inquiry. And other government ministers have accused Labour of a politically motivated row, saying that the claims about Mr Coulson are recycled. Well, nevertheless, pressure is mounting for the inquiry to be reopened, led by a growing band of former Labour ministers, including Lol Prescott and also Tessa Jowell. And in the Sky News Labour leadership debate yesterday, all 5 of the candidates said that police should look again at those claims.
These are very serious allegations.
A daredevil from Pennsylvania has become the first person to complete a double backflip in a wheelchair. Known as Wheels to his friends, the 18-year-old's collected a series of bumps and bruises over months of practicing. Eventually, though, I'm pleased to say, there you go, he gets it. Well, Aaron spent his life in a wheelchair, having been born with spina bifida, and he completed his first single back flip when he was just 14. There's nothing like practice makes you perfect, but that did look like it will have hurt.
Indeed. Let's romp through the morning newspapers on this Monday morning. Very good to see you on this Monday morning. Sky News Sunrise, and this is Clemency Burton-Hill. She's got the newspapers, and we're talking about lots of things, including how long should doctors be expected to work during the week, coming very shortly. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Leading the news. And with that, we bring you an update of what else is happening news-wise, and then Clemency with what's in the papers after this from Charlotte.
And Tony Blair has attacked the government's plans to find ways of sending fewer people to prison. Mr Blair famously promised to be tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime when he was...
Here come your newspapers. Clemency Burton-Hill with those. Good to see you, Clemency. Doctors we're going to talk about, and they work less hours, but which the paperwork shows, but morale is a different thing.
Well, morale, but also the fact that they're having to work shorter hours. This is the implementation last year of the EU Working Hours Directive that was supposed to minimise the hours that junior doctors work and therefore reduce stress, make better patient care. It's proving completely counterproductive, the Times reports today. Well-intentioned, of course we have to regulate our labour markets. But what's ended up happening is that because junior doctors have to work, it ends up being a day less per week. And because of consultants not wanting to work night shifts and weekends, often the junior doctors end up working night shifts and weekends and therefore miss out on vital training and the time when they can actually be working with consultants during the week. And the net result of this...
What about vital sleep?
Yeah, but well, I don't think any junior doctor gets any vital sleep, so I think that's kind of out of the equation completely. But the net result is very serious. Times is reporting today that almost a quarter of the 6,000 NHS-trained junior doctors, after they complete their 2 years of foundation, are leaving Britain to go and work overseas. Now, it ends up costing around £250,000 for the taxpayer to support each British doctor. So if they leave and they don't come back, that's a huge net disaster for the health budget.
Are they leaving because there are no jobs, that because they're not paid enough? Why are they leaving?
There are a whole number of reasons, but I think also the hours and the stress under which they're working is a huge part of it. The morale is incredibly low, as you say, because I think people feeling like this is, whilst it was incredibly well-intentioned, it's gone rather awry and it's proving incredibly disruptive to their lives. So
well, maybe you're a medic, maybe you're a doctor watching the programme this morning. Let us know the conditions and the hours that you've got to work. News@sky.com, at Sky Charlotte as well is the tweet. Now, everybody's got their political memoirs out. Lord Mandelson has his out. Tony Blair has his out. Going to be talking to him about 8:45 this morning. And Mr Blair's wife, she's taken exception with Mr Mandelson.
Just when you thought the infighting and the squabbling between the Blairs and Mandelson and Gordon Brown was really truly over, Sherry Blair is now asking Mandelson to remove, or asking HarperCollins, the publisher of his memoir, to remove a passage in which he cites a personal note that Sherry wrote to him after he was booted out in 1998. And she's taken offence to the fact that he's quoted this note in full, and it concerns Gordon Brown, essentially. And she says, "My only consolation is that a person who causes evil to another," that's Gordon Brown, "will in the end suffer his returns." And you might argue that Sherry's words have come home to roost. But it seems rather petty, given that Sherry Blair and Tony Blair are both, you know, doing very well from having publicised their own memoir.
No, I love all this soap opera, but people get very uncomfortable when they realise people don't like each other. But I think this, honestly, I think Blair's got to be commended for just whether you agree with him or not, but actually saying, me and Gordon didn't like each other, full stop. The only bad thing about that is he should have said it while he was in power.
While he was in power, exactly. And
the thing about this is it just draws attention, actually, to what was said, doesn't it, by sort of kicking up a legal fuss.
Yeah, exactly. No one would know, unless people are reading the book, no one would know about it. Now, what I think is hilarious as well is that Sherry Blair, who is probably capable of giving her own legal advice, she is, after all, a hugely powerful lawyer, is her lawyers are asking for the legal costs, £800 plus VAT, which I think is a kind of hilarious minor footnote in this story.
I'm sure the good Lord can afford it.
I'm sure they can on that salary. This Tony Blair later on in the show. This
Pakistan flood situation, I mean, it's 5 weeks on since we started reporting this.
I think The Guardian, they're showing an extraordinary picture on the front cover. I think the sense is that as this story has dropped off the front pages and people are no longer talking about the Pakistan flood and aid is still not being delivered to the right areas, that in a sense a picture like this is incredibly powerful and will hopefully make people think about what's happening and step up, or not happening, and step up aid relief. And they followed this child. They found this child living in the camp. It's on the border of Afghanistan, just 19 miles from Peshawar, showing that they have really nothing. These camps are just not being run. They're not being administered. The only food that these children are getting is one iftar meal, because it's currently Ramadan, and they're getting that provided by a charity every day. But their mother is desperate, because when Ramadan ends, there will be no food for these kids at all.
And one of the awful things about that whole cricket business is that it's kept this
off the pages, and it's devastating.
Let's just finish about driving tests. How long would you go, Charlotte, before you gave up doing your driving test? I mean, how many failures would you take?
Trying? Oh, well, the thing is, it's so important. I would keep going for quite a while, but you'd have to accept.
For 960 times?
No, I would take the hint then and think, do you know what, I'm not destined to be on the road.
Well, Shah Sassoon, who's a grandmother from South Korea, she has finally passed her driving test on the 960th go. You just wouldn't really want to get in the car. She's still alive, thankfully. She wanted to pass a test so that she could drive her grandchildren to the zoo. She's become, though, what's funny about this story is she's become a national celebrity in South Korea, and she's become the face, no less, of Hyundai. She's doing some little car advertising for them. So there you go.
Probably a car that goes on.
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
How long did it take you to get your driving test?
No, I did pass first time.
First time?
Yeah, first time.
First time.
It's the little nerds.
Well, it just convinces me that it is easier for women doing that driving test.
Or maybe just that women are better drivers, Eamon. How about that?
He hasn't told us yet, has he? All the multiple times yet.
Moving on, time for bids is going into that situation. Coming up to 6:45. Clemency back in 1 hour.